5 choices. The reading is, how can fair relating be applied to this relationship? It's a general reading, so you want to just take what resonates as true for you, and you want to use your own intuition to decide if one or more of these has a message for you. So you want to have the relationship that you want to find out about in mind. Oh, I forgot to get some cards from this deck. And you can use different piles for different relationships. You know, you can use this at another time, you know, later down the line. If there's a relationship you want to inquire about, you could come back to this reading. Okay, so just take a deep breath. And I've got most of the cards already dealt out. You can kind of see them here in the background. But I've got cards from 2 more decks to be added to the readings. So we'll see how this goes. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Choose from these lovely beeswax candles that I made. How can you apply fair relating to this relationship? And we're going to start with pick number 1. Pick number 1, you chose the orange beeswax candle, and this is your reading. So I've got a bunch of cards here. I was just getting a couple more from the Hermes deck. So let me just continue with that right now. So sometimes when I do these readings, I get like this usually one pile gives me this like washover of like a dizziness, and I don't know if that's like someone's guide, but it is happening for this pile right now. So let's see what's going on here. How can you apply fair relating to this relationship? So I wanted to like find out a little bit about what it is you're trying to be fair about, and we'll just see how much information comes through. We've got explore your options. This is from the Archangel Michael deck, so you may resonate with Archangel Michael. And he's also saying honor and trust your feelings. So the way you feel in your body can kind of guide you, right? Also, we've got some cards here from the Starseed Oracle. We the Hathors, deep love, mother's milk, birth as a portal. So this could be a family member. Someone from your soul family at the very least. It could be a child. Weight of the world, boundaries, let it go, it's not yours to carry. Okay. I'm going to put these like this so you can see both. For now, anyway. We got be, being, love, presence. This isn't from my homemade Starseed Oracle. There's going to be one question to ask towards the end of the reading. What is, I asked for what is your energy and what is their energy. So you, and these could be reversed. So if it sounds like I'm describing them instead of you, then just, you know, take these in reverse. But your energy is heartbroken, really carrying a burden, and, you know, trying to mend yourself after this burden, where it's like you got burned trying to pull yourself in many directions, and the spark that you normally live by, the passionate spark, it kind of feels strained at the moment. You've been required to go through some sort of bleak rite of passage, I wanted to say, I guess, but it's like you know the way out. You're processing emotion, deep emotion, painful emotion, a decision that you had to make, and you know that you'll return. You know the way to go to return back to your passion, but it's like things are on hold while you process this emotion, okay? And what is their energy? They are kind of in a paused place. We get the Hanged Man for them, looking for a new perspective. And the Five of Pentacles in reverse. They are in recovery as well from a poverty, a loss, a spiritual loss. It's also financial loss, a lack mindset perhaps, but they are recovering from it. So whatever you've done here, whatever decision you've made, it seems like that was an important decision, you know? Even though it was a very painful one, this person over here, it's caused them to take pause and maybe start to heal their own perspective that was perhaps holding them back. Okay, what needs to be said? Love. You may need to express love, especially if this is a child. Can you read my mind? So, what needs to be said? Can you read my mind? Let's get more on that in a moment. You know, that might be relevant to you personally. We also got this what the fuck card. You know? So, it's like boundaries, and also like, where are the boundaries, right? Like, is this like... There's been blurry boundaries, that's what I want to say. In a loving relationship, the boundaries were blurred, and now there was a difficult decision to be made, and with it made, the boundaries are probably more clear. Okay. And perhaps not clear yet, maybe being explored. You may have had to speak to friends or ask for a therapist help or some sort of authority's help in dealing with this situation. And I believe that you've got some advice for how to handle it, how others before you have handled similar situations perhaps. You are gaining wisdom from the situation. Your soul is finding something out, right? Probably a lot about boundaries. We got Thief here. So perhaps that's why there was a need to set a boundary. Someone was taking more than they were supposed to in a situation, even if it wasn't outright thievery, and it could have been. It could have just been a crossing of someone's boundaries because the boundaries were not clear and they had to be put forth. And then there are unknown factors still in this situation, right? So it's not done. Like where it is now, it's not done. Whatever's happening here. There's a lot of love in this situation, and it's requiring both parties to be present with whatever feelings are arising. So I'm just going to get some cards from the Fair Relating deck that I have developed. Creative solution. Create a new solution. Okay, so while both of you are healing, it's making room for a new solution, something that hasn't been done yet. It says apologies are in order. So it's important to give apologies where needed, right? So if there are things that you are needing to forgive yourself for putting yourself in this situation where boundaries were kind of fluid and not defined, or you let your boundaries be walked on so many times that now it's not really understood where the boundaries are. Maybe that's something you needed to apologize to yourself for, and also maybe the other for being, you know, a little bit too ambiguous with boundaries, right? And also, the other party may need to apologize, and it may be that until they do apologize, there won't be any indications of healing having happened or a perspective shift having happened. Okay? And we got play together. So after, when it's time, when apologies are done, and you're ready for the solutions because both parties are healed to the degree where that they understand their part in the thing and they have forgiven themselves and each other, it's time to lighten up. It says play together, so it just means interact with each other on a much lighter way with the boundaries in place and communicate using I statements. Okay? So it's kind of like getting to know each other again, right? Letting each other know who you are. And again, we've got unknown factors. This is the second card in 2 decks that have given us blanks, unknown factors. That's so interesting. So the solution, you don't know it yet, right? Until you start to initiate and go into this process, which is going to happen after some healing, after some, excuse me, self-care and forgiveness of self and other. I was going to be done with this deck, but I'm going to get one more card from this, and it says try again. So remember, I did say this is not over. So there's something here that can be improved upon when the time is right, when the energies have shifted, when perspectives are understood, when understanding has taken place for both parties. And now there's an opportunity to ask a question here. So if you want to pause, if you need a moment to think of your question, but take the question that comes to your mind first. And I'm going to reveal the answer. And the answer you got is in time. Okay. So if we were to look at this card, though, in regards to this reading, it's just more reassurance that this isn't happening right away here. There are some steps that are happening beforehand. There's a lot of healing, especially where boundaries were broken, people were taken advantage of, walked on, things were unclear, people didn't know where their boundaries were themselves, so they weren't able to assert them with the other. And how would the other know where is okay and how far they can be pushing, you know, in this situation, especially if it's a parent-child situation. There are a lot of dysfunctional relating patterns that are being healed now in our society, in our community, in our culture. And so you may be one of the people here to actually, you know, orchestrate that, to be an example of that. You know, so you may be traversing a very difficult situation with a loved one or a family member or a child or a parent. And no doubt it's been very difficult because you really have a lot of love in this situation for this person, and there's been a lot of hurt. Okay? And it really felt like it took a big toll on you, or the other, or both. But both are in the process of healing, so I want to honor where you are in this process, and I want to thank you for spending your time with me. Pick one, and I will expect that this is helpful to you in some way, and if it isn't, then this reading is not for you. Okay? So we will end your reading there and see you next time. Bye now. Hi, pick 2. you picked the yellow candle. This is your reading. How can you apply fair relating to this relationship? Okay, let's take a look. From the Archangel Michael deck, we've got your home is protected by angels. From the Starseed Oracle, we've got double mission, lightworker, starseed, serve the world by being you. Okay, so far a lot of encouragement to just get comfortable with who you are, how you are, and understand that this is something that you're working on and you're meant to be safe and protected while you do it. We got renegotiated. And this is from my homemade Starseed Oracle, and this card refers to if you had a contract with somebody, it may have needed to be renegotiated from a soul level. So maybe the expectations or the previous intel you got about a contract and what the expectation was for the relationship may have changed. The next card we got, we're going to ask a question after. I'll look at that card in a little bit. The next cards are, I've asked about your energy and their energy. So these can be reversed. So if it sounds like I'm describing them instead of you, then just, take it as it resonates and reverse them. But your energy is, you're open to looking at things in a non-traditional way. You're really into this fair relating thing. You really are wanting justice. You really do understand the importance of being in balance. And you also understand that sometimes the structures that are in place won't allow that, right? Maybe that's why renegotiation had to be done here, because something that was counted on, something you counted on as being a part of this deal, is not present. So you're now needing to be creating balance in a situation where it's like one part of this setup wasn't present, and I feel like it's some sort of structure or authority, or it could be the other person's commitment. Let's see. The other person is in betrayal, deception, Seven of Swords energy. They're trying to get away with something. They're acting very strategically. They are, looking for their own best interest. So not a balanced negotiation here at all. And they are clear and direct with what they want, and can be a bit cutting, but very independent, very strong, independent. Don't feel they need this situation, but maybe also want this situation. So it feels like the other party is in desire of making this work, but is not willing to put forth the efforts in a fair manner like you are. They're not being fair like you are. And this is why the contract is being renegotiated on a soul level, because what was expected in a fairness is not being offered by the other party. They're being strategic. They're not being authentic. They're not being forthcoming. They're trying to deal in power plays. They're being very logical. They're not using their emotions. They haven't opened their heart. They want the love. They want the harmony. They want the alignment. They want the balanced situation, but they're not willing to give up their power to get it in order to deal on an even ground, right? There's something unfair about it. They're not willing to be traditional in the way that they respect the commitment. It's like, I feel like I keep getting Archie Bunker syndrome, where Archie Bunker, if you're familiar or not, I don't know, but it was an old 70s show where All in the Family, where Archie Bunker was this kind of arrogant man figure in the household who was really like, maybe like more possessive of his family, like than respectful of them. It was just not a healthy, fair dynamic. But there is healing going on in this situation regardless. Regardless of this, this is providing opportunities for healing for both parties. For you, because now you're having to heal the part of you that may feel disappointed and hurt and confused about why the deal that your souls made is not being honored. It's not the only thing your soul came for, but it was a major part of what your soul came for. And so it's like healing a very big disappointment, a very big loss. And this other party is, because of your willingness to be fair and willingness to be steadfast, the other party is being faced with this example of that. And that will, if not now, eventually cause them to heal. Cause them to at least be catalyzed towards healing. It's what needs to be said. My soul knows your soul. So this is definitely a soul contract. This is something you agreed to come to do when you agreed to come to Earth. You said, we're going to meet up and we're going to do this thing and we're going to both show up and we're going to work together on this mission, right? And likely the mission has to do with both parties doing their part. So this party, you know, it was probably always known that this party acted more strategically and logically. And it was probably always known that this party was willing to hold their boundaries firm and stick to the plan. So that's probably part of this, right? So both people are still playing their parts for this contract, right? It's just that it seems like the outcome may not be able to be reached if the progress is not made at an even, steady pace, right? I want romance. Like, so it seems like if you've learned what you needed to learn and this person is still hanging on to old ways, that's making it difficult. And perhaps part of this was a romantic relationship, and I think this party who's being strategic really does want that romance, and it's likely that you do too. It's likely that that's part of the disappointment that you have to process, that this was supposed to be a romantic pairing and now you're left without a partner because this other person is not doing fair relating. So if this needs to be said, perhaps it hasn't been said yet. You know, one person hasn't shared with the other that they want romance, perhaps. We've got surrender. So you're having to surrender to what is, right? Because you're not gonna go towards that controlling, manipulative behavior, because you know you've already learned that, right? You have already learned the importance of being balanced and fair. Right? You have the Temperance card here. You know this. You know that being strategic and betrayal and out for self is only going to get the results that go with that. So you've surrendered. You're controlling this. And so maybe you're hoping for this other party to also surrender. And according to these cards, it would be beneficial for them to do so. We've got intimacy here, so this is about intimacy, and this is likely about fear of intimacy, fear of being hurt, on both sides. Both sides are really, yeah, I put it on this side. See, this party, you are keeping up your boundaries pretty tight here, right? And that could also be tied to a fear of intimacy. Maybe there is some place where you can be more surrendering, right, to how this process is. If you knew that this party was always going to be like that, is there more surrender that you can do? Is there more acceptance that you can give about where they're at? And allowing them to be where they're at may just be the thing that needs to happen in order to shift this for them, to allow them the room to shift. And we got dreams come true. So you may have had dreams about this. They especially may be dreaming about this situation. And this was certainly a dream of your souls to come forward in romance between you. We've got Lotus. This is always going to be starting in the mud. This is always going to be a difficult path to traverse. This was always going to be something that was hard to get through, but beautiful in the end. There is always going to be mystery about it. There's more to know, right? And then we got statue. So there are signs and symbols and omens all along the way. There is very hard, stubborn patterns in place in both parties, okay? This person being the very protective of themselves, probably because they've been dealing with this person for lifetimes, who seems to relent back to betrayal and manipulation in order to achieve, what they want to achieve. They're unable to surrender thus far, and this has caused this person, you, to really be very rigid in your boundaries and in your what you're willing to accept, and putting walls up and protecting yourself. And this person is really stuck in their power play. It's really something that they're not willing to give up. They're not willing to go into that place where they surrender to the unknown, which is always present in this dynamic. This lifetime presented another opportunity for both parties to be more brave than ever. Okay? And what had to happen in order for them to gain what needed to be gained to be brave was they needed to go down into their own subconscious. So both parties have been required to go into their own subconscious to detect and dissect why they're acting the way they are. Why is this the coping mechanism that this person is using to relate? When they want love, why are they not able to surrender to it? Why is this person being so self-protective and sort of like structured in what they're willing to accept? Like, I want it to look this way, right? This person needs to go into their own subconscious and see why they have made those rules about what they're willing to accept for love. Okay, this is actually a beautiful, beautiful process for both people, I can see. Okay. So let's see if you were... Let me get the cards from the Fair Relating deck. What needs to happen here? Let it go. Accept how you feel in the surrender. So in order to apply fair relating to this relationship, there needs to be surrender. We already did get the surrender card, and it's like when you surrender, like when you say, I don't know what's the outcome here. I can't be attached to the outcome because I have no control over this outcome. And how does that make you feel? If it makes you feel scared, you need to deal with how you feel, right? Be accepting of how you feel. If it makes you feel angry, you need to accept that you feel angry. If it makes you feel let down, you need to accept that you feel let down. If it makes you feel betrayed, you need to accept how it feels to be betrayed. If it makes you feel disappointed, you need to accept how you feel disappointed. If it makes you feel lonely, you need to accept how you feel lonely. And this person over here, if they're to surrender, this gives up their control, right? They're trying to make this outcome happen. They're trying to force it. This is not the method that's going to work in this. And so the surrender for them is it's going to activate all the things that are in their subconscious for the reasons why they act the way they do and operate the way they do. So this person in surrender is going to feel out of control. They need to accept how they feel when they're not in control of a situation. They're going to feel like they might not get what they want. They need to accept how they feel when they might not get what they want. They're going to feel like they have to be vulnerable. They need to accept how they feel when they're going to be vulnerable. Okay, and so on and so forth. Whatever arises in the surrender, When it's let go, when you say, all right, I don't know what's going to happen with this, I have to let it go. I have to go on with my life and accept that this may never happen. However that feels needs to be accepted. Okay. And it says, that's funny because I took a deep breath when I shuffled these cards just for that card to come out. Take a deep breath. I can definitely relate to this pile with a soulmate of mine, so this is very interesting. Take a deep breath. Chores first. Okay, so there's some stuff to be done first before these parties can come together. There's work to be done. The inner work, the work that goes into the subconscious, where the parties accept how they feel about things. That letting it go and the surrender and accepting how you feel in it is literally the roadmap to the healing that needs to happen in order for this to come balanced. Apologies are in order. So perhaps this person, you, me, you may have something to apologize for, right? Think about how you've acted in order to deal with this situation. In what ways did you try to interpret it? In what ways did you try to control it? Did you try to manipulate? Did you try to see the outcome? You know, I know that I certainly did, and I was doing my best. I didn't know at the time that I was, by trying to like lure this person in, and not just being direct and saying what I felt. I was being manipulative, and I think that I went to like everyone but this person to talk about it. And you know, that was wrong. I do, if I'm ever given an opportunity to apologize, I will for that. So you may have things to apologize for as well. Like, just think about the things where you weren't in your integrity in this situation, and trying to cope with this very difficult, frustrating situation, albeit, right? And so this person may have apologies to make too for the methods that they've used for the manipulation, and for anything they've done here that was out of their integrity as well. That was out of the integrity of the soul contract that they've made, the agreement that they've made. Be still and listen. Okay, so both people have intuition trying to speak to them about the situation, and they can get answers there, right? So as they're going inward to do the work, you know, that's going to involve being still and being present with what's inside them. And then creative solution, create a new solution. So I have a feeling that over many lifetimes this has been attempted, and a lot of things have been tried and failed. And so there's an opportunity in this lifetime to find a new solution for how to handle this, how to let each of these people who are kind of rigid in how they are to come out like the lotus out of the mud and flower. Yeah. Alright, so if you have a question, you want to think of it now, pause if you need another moment, but I'm going to reveal the answer now. Mother knows best. And I actually, what comes to mind when I look at that card is like Mommy Dearest, that movie where she says, no hangers. No wire hangers, I think it is. And actually, like, that movie is depicting an abusive mother, right? And so I kind of have the feeling that both parties are, their subconscious stuff and the reasons that they operate how they operate is because of how mother was. So that might be a clue as to what we're looking at when we go into the subconscious. Like, what did mother do in these type of situations? What was mother like, and how did we decide to operate in order to cope with that? And if we can accept and love the part of us that dealt with that, then we can stop coping in the manner that we were coping in order to deal with that. Right? We can just be present, accepting, loving of the part of us that had to deal with however it was that Mother decided we needed to be. Because in both of these cases, it's not how your soul is. So what you're trying to do is accept and love and integrate the part of yourself that decided to cope in the way that made it so that Mother was respected, even though it disrespected yourself. And in that way, you make room for the integration of the soul piece that is actually wanting to and waiting to complete this mission together. Wow. Okay, pick 2. I honor you and your journey and where you are at with it. I honor me, my journey. I honor the journey of all parties here, because this is a big, heavy, intense thing. And I know personally in my situation, it's kept me up a lot of nights. I've cried. It's been years. I mean, I've tried and tried, and I don't know what to do anymore. It's not really in my, like, I'm this person, right? So I was like, I feel stuck, right? But this is, now I'm realizing, okay, there may be more that I can do to surrender, right? What am I doing that I had to do because my mom, said that we operate this way, or we do this to get this result, or, whatever it was. I'll have to look at it more. But it's eliminating fears to intimacy, to allow dreams to come true. Interesting. Okay. Alright, I'm going to call that reading complete for you, and look forward to seeing you next time. Hi, pick 3. If you chose this blue, or indigo, I guess, beeswax candle, this is your reading. What can you do to apply fair relating to this relationship? Let's see what we've got. From the Archangel Michael deck, you got you and your loved ones are safe. Okay. So whatever it is you're going through, they don't want you to worry. They want to reassure you. It says, loosen your grip, coping mechanisms, density, addiction, let God in. Yeah, it feels like you're maybe trying to control some things that are out of your control. Okay? And this is a very common way to cope when you've been through trauma. And when you've been through trauma, you don't know that you and your loved ones are safe. You need to be reassured that your loved ones and you are safe quite often. Okay, so the fact that your guides are bringing through this message for me tells me that there has been some trauma. And the way that you've been coping is as a result of that trauma. And they're going to try to ease you on that trauma so that you can see past it in these moments, okay, during this reading. Okay? Okay, so you are safe. Let's see what else we got. We are going to ask a question in this reading. We're not going to reveal that yet, but we'll do that in a little bit. We got released, birth story, rebirth. Okay, so this trauma seems to be pretty active in your field still. Like you've been reliving it again and again, and you are trying to release it. And I think there's something going on with this person in particular that's bringing it up to the surface for you, right? You're feeling activated in it. And the reason is so that it can be healed. So let's see what's going on with you. Now, when we look at what's going on with you and what's going on with them, or who you are and who they are in this reading, these can be reversed. So if you feel like I'm describing them instead of you, you can just reverse these, okay? So who are you? What's going on with you? You are someone who deals in logic, and you're pretty confident in yourself, and you're good with making your decisions in that way. You're very comfortable with it, and you feel looked over. You feel like you're willing to take flight when needed. You feel like you'll take action as needed. You'll put people in their place as needed. There's a decision that's been needing to be made, and you have not made it. You have not been able to make a decision, despite you being a very decisive person. Despite you being a very decided, a very logical, a very intelligent, a very wise person. There is something here where you have not been able to make a decision on something. So, you've been juggling something, I feel like, for a while. What is the other person here? Other person is the Sun, positivity, fun, success, vital. And Two of Swords, difficult decision, weighing up options, impasse, and conflict, disagreement, competition, defeat, winning at all costs. Okay. Okay, I feel like this other person is generally a very vital, on top of it, person who's willing to shine and be confident in what they do. But whatever this situation is, they're stuck in a decision too. They feel like they're stuck too. Okay. And they feel like there's disagreement and conflict. They feel like they can't win this. They can't win this. That's what they feel like. And they can't win this because there's something unfair here. Something is unfair. Okay, what needs to be said? I'm sorry. It needs to be done very softly. There needs to be a lot of gentleness with this. Gentle, gentle, gentle. Gentle with yourself. Gentle with the other. You know, if you don't feel like you need to say sorry, maybe they need to say sorry, but maybe both people need to be sorry, right? But there are apologies that are in order here. There has been difficulty, perhaps conflict, some disagreement, maybe competition, maybe like defense mechanisms and coping mechanisms have clashed here. And that's why such gentleness needs to be used in this situation, because this is an active trauma that's being looked at. I was a fool, so someone needs to humble themselves in order to say this apology, and someone needs to acknowledge that they didn't know what they were getting into. Yeah, and maybe they want to acknowledge this, and maybe they haven't been given the opportunity yet, because maybe this impasse has caused some sort of separation. Okay, so curiosity. You know, I think that there is curiosity, like what is the other person doing? What are they deciding? What's going to happen? Are they still mad? Are they sorry? Or, you know, like, do they realize what's happening? Like those kind of things. And then new routine, like just trying to do things differently, trying to say, all right, this isn't how I want to do it anymore. Or I want to avoid this, so I'm going to just do something totally different. It's like maybe there's something where these parties were trying to do something together that was new, and no one decided to do it. Yeah, there was an escape instead. And then both parties just went to stillness. The other person felt like they couldn't do anything because they couldn't win in this situation. It was a no-win situation. And it feels like you have all the power, and you are curious, but you are not making a decision. Maybe you've even tried to escape the situation, or they have, or both of you have tried to escape the situation. But you cannot. Yeah, we got dedicated here. So your souls have agreed to this, to resolve this trauma, and you're dedicated to doing so. So that's why your curiosity keeps bringing you back there. Curiosity is the energy of the child. It's closest to your heart. It's how, if you're a logical person, it's your curiosity that's going to lead you where your heart wants to go. And it's like you're both waiting for a new idea. You're both waiting for like the aha moment, the enlightenment about it. You're both waiting for something to be clear. You're both very discerning. There's a lot of discernment going on here. Like, is this okay? What is this? Mentalism. Okay, so the story that you're both telling as you do this wondering and curiosity and escaping and wanting more clarity but not making a decision and feeling defeated and feeling like it's just not clear enough to go forward. This is the story that you've created to live in. And that's what you're reliving in this, right? And that is reminiscent of the trauma that you are actively in and trying to heal, or are healing. Okay? So think of a time in your life where you were put in a situation where it just threw you off, where you couldn't move forward because you didn't know what to do in this situation, right? You didn't feel safe, and you needed to cope with a very uncomfortable situation. It caused you to really need to discern, because what you were being told and what you were being shown were different than how you felt. It was probably in childhood, it probably at a time where you were told how to cope in a certain way, or how you were supposed to operate, or what was expected of you. And it went against who you were. It went against your curiosity. It went against what you were driven towards. It went against what your heart wanted. It went against what you thought before. It went against what you felt you needed for love. Because you went to dealing very logically here. Okay? So I think that in order to survive the situation originally, you had to be very mentally agile. You had to read people. You had to anticipate what they were going to do. You had to know ahead of time. You had to plan everything out. You had to have a backup plan. And now that's how you're dealing with this situation. But that is the crux of the issue here, right? But this situation has put you in that situation so that you can heal the original wound, the original time that you felt that way, the original time you coped in that way as a child, when that's the only way you could cope. So it's not wrong that you've been coping this way at all. Okay? Your curiosity will get you out, and everything you feel, everything that's in the way of you following your curiosity, is the things to be accepting and healing. Accept and be present with the pieces of you that want to keep you from what's got your curiosity. The doubts, the fears, the planning, the strategy. It's a lot of that, you know? And that's the story, because you have doubts and because you have fears and because you feel like it could be the worst case scenario. That's what is happening. So your trauma is repeating over and over and over and over. Okay? There's a lot of mystery here, and that's on purpose. And it's on purpose because the way that spirit and your soul really is setting this up is to make it so that you don't know. Because your coping mechanism is to know. Your coping mechanism is to have all the bases covered. look at this from this Hermes deck. There are just two cards of mystery here. Okay, that means unknown, unknown. That means both people are in the unknown. This person doesn't know what's going on either. This person has no idea and probably has a matching wound to you. You can't control that person, and they're not here. So you have to deal with it in you, right? That's all you can do. So I'm just going to collect these cards from the other piles I put aside here. So all you can do is deal with the part of you. Oh wow, this was stuck from my last reading, and I think this reading is tied to the last reading. I think this is the other person's perspective. So if you're curious, or if you were drawn to pick two, you might want to look, because I do think this is twin souls. And that's what we're actually talking about, right? The mirror. But this didn't come up in this reading. It came up in pick two, but it was stuck, and it didn't get shown to me until I just collected some cards from the Fair Relating deck to use in this reading. But I had just kind of like piled them all up over here, and I was like, oh, I forgot to put those in my deck, and then there that was revealed. And I did have the feeling that this was the other party from the pick two. So, you know, only if it resonates, only if it calls to you, if you're curious enough to want to go look. So both of these parties are kind of lost and unclear and don't know what to do, right? But they both have to be dealing with how they feel about the mystery, how they feel about the unknown, their willingness to go into the unknown, their willingness to follow their curiosities like a child. They're in an innocent way. Like a child is free to follow their curiosities until a parental figure comes along and explains to them why they shouldn't be doing that, or why that's dumb, or why that's unacceptable, or why that will lead them wrong, or why that will get them in trouble, or anything like that, right? Okay, so the first one that we got is ask for clarity of intentions. So if these parties are communicating in any way, then I'm going to speak to you because you're the one watching this reading, you would want to ask for clarity of intentions, right? Like, ask this person, well, what are your intentions? You know, and if this person can't tell you their intentions, that is a good clue for you, right? Because that means that they don't even know. They don't even know what they're doing, right? Then ask yourself, what are your intentions? I think this person will be able to tell you what their intentions are, because this person is representing by the sun, and this situation is what that has them on pause. The rest of their life seems to be pretty good and like going along great, and yours too, right? Like you're very adept at handling life and all situations that arise, but it's just this situation. It's like, ask for clarity of intentions, okay? Chores first, meaning maybe wait until you've dealt with the inner part of this first, right? Wait until you've dealt with the wounding part and the trauma, because the work has to be done in order for this cycle to end. The clarity is not going to be there until the work is done. So even if you were to ask for clarity of intentions, you know, it's not going to be as clear if the trauma is still there. Or if this person clearly stated to you what their intentions were, you wouldn't believe it until you clear up this trauma. This trauma is going to filter your view until it's loved in you. Communicate using I statements, okay? So this is to make sure that you are offering a clear intention when you communicate. Because this other person is at a standstill too. They don't know what to do either, so they would probably appreciate that too, knowing what to expect of you. There may be reasons that you know of on why they don't know what to expect. And if there's part of you that feels pleasure knowing that you've put this person off kilter and that they have this much turmoil in their life because of this situation, you have to look at that, right? Like, that's a power play. If you try to, if you gain pleasure from knowing that if you've affected somebody so deeply that they feel like they can't move forward, if you take pleasure in that, that is a power play. That is codependency, and that is you depending on this affecting somebody else, right? And in actuality, you want to go to a relationship to give, not to get. You don't want to have to control people. I mean, what good is it to be with somebody who's only there because you've made them feel inferior and insecure? Don't you want to be with somebody who wants to be with you, not somebody who needs you? I had to stop for some water. Doesn't that seem more pure? Because the way you're looking at the relationship now is through the lens of this trauma. This trauma made you want to control everything and know ahead what was going to happen. So that makes you happy when you know you can affect this person and have some sort of control over this person. But that is not the way to be in a relationship that's fair. And that won't be sustainable because it's built on a power play, and all power plays are going to crumble. Over the next several years here on Earth, this is not going to be sustainable. That's why we have a lot of people working towards clearing these type things and making bridges to the new way of relating from this old way of relating. And that's what you're doing, right? That's what you'll be doing when you do this work. And it says, do you love the totality of their existence or the fragments of them that cater to you? Yeah. Like, maybe you've gotten mad at this person because they stopped responding to you when you wouldn't make a decision, right? If you were dealing in power plays and you were trying to get reactions from this person, because this person's the sun, this person's shining bright, this person is living and has vitality, so I could only assume that it was you potentially trying to take from them, and you can reverse it if it seems like they were trying to do that to you, right? Suck off your energy in a way. But like if they were trying to keep power over you or manipulate you, then take it in reverse as well. And it could have been a bit of both ways too. But I'm just going to use this scenario as an example. If you were trying to, take the crumbs of interest they were showing before they withdrew it, and then got angry when they withdrew it, it's like, do you love the totality of their existence or the fragments of them that cater to you, which is like the fragments of them that were willing to put up with your indecision, right? With your escapism. Maybe you ran away a lot and when you faced something you couldn't control. And that's not you, that's your trauma. I want to be clear here. This is the coping mechanism that you chose to survive a traumatic situation. Doesn't mean you're damaged, it means you're a soul who came to do a hard thing. And it means you're equipped to do it. You didn't come to do things that you're not equipped to do. You can do this. Okay? So, when you question yourself in this way about whether or not you love the totality of their existence or just the parts that cater to you, it brings us back to that question that I channeled there, which was like, don't you want somebody who wants you, not needs you? So what it seems to be happening here is an elimination of codependency. And both of these people are not willing to participate in codependency anymore, and that's why this relationship is going the way it is, because your trauma has caused you to cope in ways that are codependent. This person probably had the same type things, right? And they've recognize them and work through them. That's how they got to the sun energy. That's how they got vital. That's how they got bright. That's how they got understanding. The sun isn't just working in the mind, isn't just logical. The sun has embodied everything, right? The emotions and the mind, and has grounded it, and is living in it. Okay, last one. Forgive yourself. Oh yes. See, this is a child version of you that was in a difficult situation and who learned how to survive it, and who has done a very good job. You know, you're not just like a page here. You're the king. You're the king of swords. You are very intelligent, very smart, very wise, very adept, and let's face it, you know, all the other parts of your life were going very well before you had to face this situation. It's this trauma that needs to come up. So however you've been acting, however you've been escaping, or however you've been not deciding or power playing, right? That all deserves your forgiveness. That all can be loved and accepted in you. You have to accept how you feel about you having done those things. If shame comes up, you need to love the part of you that feels ashamed. You know, shame is, I gotta say, personally, I went through a dark night of the soul based on shame, and it was like a 3-day or 3-week, I don't know, process of just crying a lot in the bathtub. And this is years ago now. But like I asked my body where shame was stored. I let myself feel it. I comforted myself through it. I let myself feel totally devastated, like I wanted to end it all, like I wasn't worth anything, like I was terrible, like I couldn't be redeemed. You know, I let myself feel all of that. And then I shined a light on it. I shined the light in my body. I cleared. I let God love me. I cried and cried and cried and cried some more, you know? Like I let this energy move through me. And Epsom salts in the bathtub with crystals and essential oils were very helpful to me, because those things all help your body move energy, right? They help your frequency, or help you break up any stagnant energies that's in your body. And that's where this stuff is going to be. Trauma is going to be stored in your body as a stagnant frequency. And so you're activating it again, but you're activating it so that you can be present with it. When you're present with something, it's no longer stuck in you. It's no longer being resisted. It's no longer being coped with. It's an accepted part of you. It's something that is lovable, just like the rest of you, you know? It's like forgiving yourself is a very important step here, and it will allow you to forgive this person too for whatever it is that they've done to hurt you in this situation. I'm sure that they're not blameless. Whatever is happening here is being mirrored by both parties, right? There's both parties here, and I mean, you're both at a standstill here, right? Sure, this person might have already, you know, dealt with some of the things that you haven't dealt with yet, but it doesn't mean that they're without things to deal with. I mean, they too are in decision here. That means that there's some place in them that they don't know themselves well enough to make a decision, right? There's some place in them that they're still attached to an outcome, or they would have decided. Okay, so all right, so we've got you can ask one question here, and I'm going to flip the card so you can take a deep breath, pause if you need another moment to come up with your question, and we're gonna get the answer. We've got no. So I don't know what your question was, but they're saying the answer is no. Look, and I just felt the need to like shuffle my Hermes deck while we were doing that, and we got nothing is at rest. So I feel like the reason why they gave me this nothing is at rest card with the no is because no is the answer right now, and everything is energy, and energy is changeable. So no might be the answer in response to the energy that has trauma in it. So this no could be a yes at another time when you're not in this indecision, right? When you're able to make a decision, when you've cleared your trauma, when you see clearly enough that you're brave enough to go into the unknown, because seeing clearly doesn't mean you know the outcome. Seeing clearly means you clearly know that you can handle yourself. Because you know you can handle yourself. You know you can handle what arises. It's just a little child part of you that hasn't been loved yet, that doesn't know that. And when he is integrated in you and fully loved and forgiven, then you'll be going forward. Then the answer can change, okay? I just felt the need to get that card, so I'm going to go with that. Nothing is at rest, right? We're always growing. We're always learning. Energy is always changing. Okay. All right. I hope, I know this is helpful. My intention was that this reading be very helpful to anyone who watches it. So if it wasn't helpful, then this reading is not for you. And I appreciate you spending your time with me. And I know you can do this, you know? And they can do this too, so don't worry about them either, right? And it's like, oh, here, I want to talk a little bit more about this before I let you go, sorry. Rebirth, birth story, rebirth, released. Okay, so you're releasing the attachment to the outcome so that you can go into the unknown. But you're also telling yourself the story that you want, right? None of the story about doubts and fears and not being forgivable and us needing to escape and playing games and that you won't be well received. And, you know, it's like, tell the story that you want to live. Tell the story of who you really are without the filter of the fear. That's what you're doing here. Okay. Now we're going to call that complete. Alright. Take care, pile 3. Hi, pick 4. If you chose this red beeswax candle, this is your reading. How can you add fair relating to this relationship? Let's see what we got. From the Archangel Michael deck, we got decide to be happy now. Okay, so maybe you've been feeling doubtful and down, and it's encouraging you to let go of that. Okay, so that's one thing. So if you've been looking at things through the lens of pessimism right now, at least for this reading, let's try to let that go and allow yourself to be happy now. It says, thank you for helping me open my heart to happiness, joy, and bliss. I am now willing to see all of the goodness in my life. So think of 3 things that you can be thankful for in your life right now. You know, maybe it's heat, electricity, and internet. You know, it's simple as that. Decide to be happy now. Okay. Then we got from the Starseed Oracle called Soul Gifts and Training. It's time to step up. Okay. So clearly they're lifting you up because they've got something for you to do here. Your soul is calling to you, and there's something that you're wanting to do as a soul. Attunement, psychically charged, yes. You're being called from your soul, but also like your third eye, also like your crown chakra, also like signs, symbols, messages. You are feeling overwhelmed, you know, we can understand that at times, and maybe it's because you felt like you were aimless, like you didn't know what to do, right? But you weren't doing anything wrong. There's still a lot to be grateful for, no matter what you've been through. And we will get to a point here, if we need to, in this reading, where we'll address some of those things, or there may be another reading that would be good for you to help you address what it is that's making it hard for you to remain happy, okay? So it's not wrong that you were, but I don't think they would give you this card unless you were able to kind of like, you know, like flip over into that. It's because they want you to be able to see this reading for what it is at this moment, you know, and you can go back to deal with the unhappiness if you need to. So protect assets we got. Oh, Actually, that was my answer card. I was going to let you ask a question, but now I've just revealed the answer already. So we'll just take that as part of the reading so far. Protect assets. So maybe you are feeling like you need to secure things, or it could be just the asset of your happiness and the momentum you've made with the accomplishments that you've done. Okay, so since we're talking about a relationship, let's look at your energy and their energy. And sometimes these can be reversed. So if it feels like I'm describing them, when I'm describing you, you can just flip them, okay? So let's see, what's going on with you? You knew there was like a big thing for you to go forward towards, right? You knew that you were going to be called towards something, but I feel like you haven't known what it is. You've been like, maybe felt like you were in a holding pattern to like, and being very mundane, like doing things to like just kind of go through the motions, but you felt called maybe, and you just couldn't interpret the signs and symbols and psychic messages. Yeah, like there's a lot of distractions, right? That's my water pump, so I'm grateful that I've got water and electricity and a pump. Something happened here with you that seemed so unfair, right? And I think that maybe it was hard for you to expect to have justice in the situation. But there is going to be justice in the situation, okay? It's just that right now it doesn't feel that way. Right now, things don't feel fair. Things have been unjust, but it doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. Okay, this is a situation. It is something for you to learn from. It does feel like your assets are in danger, right? That something you've invested in is not going to be handled in a fair manner. It's maybe taking the oomph out of you and causing you to feel a bit of melancholy, right? That's where you're at. Here's where the other person is at. Judgment, rebirth, inner calling. They have an inner calling as well. But they are needing some alone time, or perhaps they're like just kind of distracting themselves with celebrating. They're maybe just like hunkered down with their significant other or something. Okay, maybe there's something about that you think is unfair. I do feel like this has to do with assets, though. Let's see. Okay, so you're feeling like something's unjust, and you're feeling like your passion has kind of been put on hold, and you don't know exactly what you're moving towards, even though you do feel like you're being called towards something. And this other person is like, has a calling too, and is perhaps having to deal with some of the repercussions of what they've been doing, and trying to move through some of those energies and doing it alone. And then we've got what needs to be said. I remember everything. We go good together. And I forgot. Isn't this interesting? Okay. A lot of contradiction here, right? This is really weird. Oh my gosh. I'll just tell you what I said oh my gosh about. I got secure foundation here. We got secure assets and then secure foundation. And we got compassion. Compassion was in reverse, and I think that might be one of the issues here, is like we need to have some compassion for each other, okay? Because obviously there's some sort of like discrepancy between the story we're telling ourselves about this situation. One person is maybe coping in a way where they're not thinking about everything, and the other person is going over and over in their head thinking about everything. And maybe that's why it's like, well, if you don't remember anything and I remember it all, then maybe we need to get together and discuss this. Interesting. But this person does, the other person, you know, that you're dealing with does not want to get together right now at all. Definitely not. So maybe you want to, right? You want to get together with this person. You want to hash it out. You want to have compassion for them. You want to secure things. You want to understand. You want to be happy. You want to move forward and know that things are going to be okay. But this person is going through their own thing, and they are being called to do it, right? Whatever it is, they have to do that. And however they're dealing with it is their deal. So you don't have any control over that. But you can have compassion for them. You can understand what they're going through, but that'll be a lot easier to do if you first have compassion for yourself, right? Compassion for how you're dealing with this, how you're feeling in this situation, which seems a bit like unfair in a way, right? At least to you. And maybe even to them. But this is like something where you think you could just like fix this by coming together, and like, you know, you don't want to leave things like this, I feel like. And like, they are busy. They're not focused on this. Okay. Let's see what else. We got Mount Olympus, home. So we got secure foundation and secure assets, and now we've got home. We got music. They are maybe like partying a little bit, so they might be dealing with some music. There's some unknown factors, and nothing is at rest. Alright, so there's a lot up in the air. And music. Maybe you're getting messages through music. Maybe they are getting messages through music, right? So pay attention in that way. This is so far pretty vague, and I don't feel like I'm tapping too deep into what's going on here. I feel like the basic crux of the thing is that there's time alone, time apart. Look, spend time alone is the card that came out. And I hadn't looked at it yet, it fell on the bed. It's time apart, and so even though like, you don't have to focus on this to be happy, okay? You don't require even to resolve this with this person to be happy. You should secure your own foundation, meaning knowing who you are, knowing you can handle whatever arises, whatever it may be. Securing your own assets, that is something that is important as well. So what is it that you can do to make sure things are secure? Like, are there things that you should be paying attention to in your home, around your home? And it may be regarding this person or not. It could just be in general, right? Where you're replaying things over and over again, perhaps it's time to let that go. Or if you've let everything go, then only revisit them if that's coming up. Like if it keeps coming up in your mind, maybe it's something that you want to go towards and revisit in your mind. Name 3 ways the opposite is also true. So whatever you've decided about this situation, if you've decided that it's best to come together and discuss things and remind each other, and have compassion and share whatever, name 3 ways that the opposite is also true. Like, look at the reasons why it's not good to come together right now, why you could do with some time apart. What is it that you're being afforded this time apart for? You know, you have an inner calling, and is it that everything that you've kind of put on a back burner and forgotten about needs to be revisited? Do you need to kind of look at those things? Do you need to name 3 ways the opposite is also true? When you say, we go good together, can you name 3 ways that the opposite is also true? When you say, I forgot, can you name 3 ways that the opposite is also true? When you say, I remember everything, can you name 3 ways the opposite is also true? Be an example. What is the example being shown to you? Okay, what are you observing? And this will be a lot easier after you've had compassion for yourself, after you've dealt with how you feel about these things. And what example are you being? Okay, are you leaving this person alone? Are you letting them have their space? Are you willing to be in compassion instead of putting your needs forth for what you want, the desired outcome that you want? Maybe the universe has something better in mind, and maybe this pause is allowing for that to come in. Okay, we got music. Nothing is at rest. So things are in flux here, right? And it's not always going to be this way. So it's like kind of like enjoy your home. Maybe be creative. Maybe listen to some music. Maybe get your signs from music, right? But this person is not accessible to you at this time. So it is most fair in this situation to spend time alone. And it also says apologies are in order. Okay, so if you don't know what the apologies are for, then that's why you're spending time alone. If you're expecting an apology, this person may not be ready to give it, so you're spending time alone, and they need time alone. Nothing is at rest, so where is your mind restless? What is it going towards? What is it avoiding? You know, look at those things. Kind of look at what it is that you can make sure that you have to have taken care of, like other loose ends are on your home and your assets, like things like that. And it's reminding you that you're a very kind person. Okay, you are a fair person. So there may be some things in this situation that are making you unhappy. So be kind to yourself and allow yourself to move through and comfort yourself through the difficulties and the misunderstandings, and look at what example you're being, and look at the opposite view, because we had opposite views here, right? This person is either the one remembering everything or forgetting everything, and you're the opposite, right? So you're not seeing eye to eye at this time. So look at all the things you can look at, which is within yourself. All the things you can control are within yourself. And that says creative solution. Create a new solution. So as a fair relating, it's saying spend time alone. There's unknown in this. Everything is kind of in flux. You're not seeing eye to eye. There are some things you can pay attention to in this situation, including having compassion for yourself and then the other. And then name 3 ways the opposite is also true on whatever you're knowing that you're not seeing eye to eye on, or whatever the disagreement was about. And then know that apologies are in order. So you can't expect an apology from this person. So is there an apology that you can give? You know, is it difficult for you to do so? And then, like, what are you being an example of? What is the example being shown to you? What do you want to be an example of? And then it's saying, you are so kind. Oh, you know what I got about this music? Make a song about it. Write a song. Write it down. You know, or sing a song that kind of lets you move through it, right? Like there's some sort of creative outlet or means that can help you with this situation. And it says creative solution, create a new solution. So something that you haven't thought of yet can be used in this situation to ease your position. But it does seem like there's been a parting of ways between two people that can't quite see eye to eye. It's been it's shaken up your foundation, right? It's caused you to kind of lose your oomph and lose your spark and feel like things aren't fair and ignore your calling. But you do have a calling, and you do have some things to do. So tend to the part of you that needs it in accordance with this. And I feel like you'll quickly recover, right, to get back on track to what you can focus on. And then when the time comes, you'll be able to follow the other steps and to be the example that you want to be and to assert apologies where needed. Okay? Even if you felt like you deserved an apology from the other, that's not what you're going to go being an example of. I have an inkling that, you know, someone has to be the example of the person who takes the high road, right? So, is that you? Are you going to be the example of the person who takes the high road? There is a creative solution. So, expressing yourself, a letter you're not going to send if you can't write a song, you know, something like that. Look at this. This just came out at the top here as I'm about to... I dropped the deck and it says, let them dislike you in peace. Yeah. Just comfort yourself. Recover yourself. You know, the nice thing is the fair way of relating in this situation is to just tend to yourself and take the high road and know that whatever the outcome is, you're going to be okay, even if it's not what you wanted. Okay? Okay. Pick 4, that sounds very challenging, but we know that you are equipped to do it because you came to do it. Your soul is ready to do it, and it sounds like you have plenty to do. Okay? So I appreciate you spending your time with me. I honor you, and we'll see you next time. Hi, Pick 5. You chose this purple beeswax candle. This is your reading. Okay, I'm going to just get a few cards from the Hermes deck. This looks like the same cards that I had in the last reading, so I'm just going to see if there's anything else that wants to come out here. So what we're doing is looking at how can you apply fair relating to this relationship. Okay, so this is fun. Let's see what we've got here. From the Archangel Michael deck, we got admit the truth to yourself and act accordingly. Okay, so there's something inside here that you know, that you feel, maybe that your intuition has been trying to nudge you towards, and that you're just going to have to accept, right? It may be uncomfortable. You maybe don't want it to be true. You may be trying to tell yourself a different story about it, but there is something here that you already know. You've already been enlightened about it. And then it's like, forgive yourself, you've done nothing wrong. So maybe the reason why you're not wanting yourself to see it is because it feels like that would just be wrong, or it would make you wrong, or would make someone wrong in the situation. So understand that even if the outcome isn't what you like, right? Even if you have to process difficult feelings about a situation or about the truth, that you have done nothing wrong. This is still on path. This is still something that you came to learn about. We got deep cellular healing, Arcturus energy, physical and emotional healing. Okay. So as you do this, as you admit the truth to yourself, and you act accordingly, meaning loving and accepting the part of you that feels upset about that, you know, because if you weren't going to be upset about it, you probably would have admitted to yourself long ago. Or maybe it's that you are not letting yourself feel that it's all going to be okay. Maybe it's that you're catastrophizing. But you're being cleansed and you're being purified and healing from this situation, from this fear. And you're doing it on a very deep basis. So the reason why this is coming to light now is so that you can heal. And you can do it very deeply on a physical and emotional level. Okay? So this has been going on so long that it's manifested in your physical existence, in your body. It's somewhere in your body stored, okay? And it doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. This is a real urgency for this reading, is that we reassure you it's just time that it would be done this way, right? You got urge, okay? And then unknown, leap of faith, yeah. So after you're purified a bit more, right? After you've gone through this part where you feel like you are admitting the truth to yourself and you have forgiven yourself for any self-blame or, you know, beating self up or anything like that, then you're going to feel this urge to take a leap of faith into the unknown. You're not going to know what the outcome is. At some point here I'm going to let you ask a question and this will be the answer. We'll get to that in a bit. So since this reading is about fair relating in a relationship, we're going to look at your energy and the other person's energy. Sometimes these can be reversed, so if it feels like I'm describing the other person when I'm describing you, or vice versa, just flip them for yourself, okay? Okay, so admit the true feelings to yourself, and you're being cleansed, and you've done nothing wrong. You are a lover. You are a sweet, romantic, kind, giving, generous, open-hearted person. And you have even worn your heart on your sleeve, professed love perhaps even to someone, and as a result been broken down. You did not get the outcome that you expected. And this has caused you to be in a lot of pain, emotional pain. Maybe you haven't been able to admit to yourself that you're not going to get the outcome you wanted, that it's unrequited love. Yeah. I think something here where love was not returned and you haven't quite been able to admit that to yourself. The other party. Four of Wands, celebration, joy, harmony, homecoming. Strength in reverse, low energy, raw emotion. Okay. So where you put your heart on your sleeve and went forward and you may have been rejected or something like that, and it put you into this difficult, painful feeling. The other person appears to not be as affected. They appear to just be living their life happily, perhaps even in a union. Maybe they chose somebody else over you, and they are kind of wearing a mask. They're not really enjoying life as much as they appear to be. They don't feel as good on the inside as they pretend to on the outside. They are lacking confidence, that may have been the reason why they rejected you. They are living life in favor of something more superficial and more superficial. So you got your heart broken here over a person who's living on the surface and not able to go to the depths of who you are. You are a person who is willing to go all in, who follows what you want, who goes for it when you want something, and who is a dreamer, and who wants to see the best in people. And this person, they may be strong in a lot of areas in their life, but relationships and love or whatever you presented was not, they don't have strength there. And it's not that they've done anything wrong, that's them, right? That's their path. We don't need to judge their path. There's something new and fresh here for you. There's something brand new that makes it feel like a breath of fresh air. There's something fresh that needs to be put into this situation, perhaps, which is the understanding of the truth. What's the truth? What, you know the truth. Act accordingly, right? Like maybe you know the truth is that this person just can't go there with you. So do you need to be feeling devastated? Do you need to feel like your world is over? You know, because this person is dealing on that level, it's okay that they deal on that level, and it's not personal, right? It doesn't mean anything about you. You're still the strong, you know, loving dreamer that you always were. What needs to be said? You are my mirror, and I lied, and I have a broken heart. Okay, so yeah, I just got this feeling that I feel like it's hard for you to tell yourself this person doesn't return your love, because maybe you feel like this is your twin or something, right? Your twin flame. Maybe all signs point to it. Maybe there have been so many signs. Maybe you were just like following this inner knowing, and instead of being devastated and sitting in the heartbreak, if you are in a twin flame journey, you have to be resilient, right? You have to know that you're breaking out of karmic patterns, and you may or may not end up with the twin, but the purpose of them to be in your life is to mirror back to you some things that need to be healed. And so if you lie to yourself and use it as an excuse to feel bad about yourself, to feel like you're not good enough, to feel like you failed, to feel like you can never escape the pain that you've found yourself in, then that is a way to stall out and kind of mirror their exact thing that they're doing, which is living on a more shallow level. You're just living it on an unhappier place, where they're living it more in like a let me celebrate and avoid feeling that place. You're living in it on a let me wallow in it and not feel happy place. Okay, so it's a mirror, but you're both kind of lying to yourselves, and you may be lying to each other about how you really feel. Oh, you're lying to yourself about how you really feel, which is maybe that, I know this is a weird thing, but maybe your urge and everything inside you knows that it's not over, that this rejection isn't the end. And it's like you're lying to yourself because you don't want to go through the disappointment again. Just like they're lying to themselves about feeling it and recognizing it and knowing it. That's one scenario, okay? Now, I want to be clear that twin flame relationships and journeys are very personal. You can't really, well, you can do what you want, but I wouldn't suggest going by what you read on people's blogs and informations and coaches out there, because they can only go by their journey and the journey of the clients they've dealt with. We're each on an individual journey. So, you know, personally, I've met a few of my twin flames, and some people believe that there's only one twin flame, and, you know, that's fine, but the belief I'm going by is that I've met I've met mirror souls of before, more than one, and you know, each time I did really love them and really want to be with them and really like feel so drawn and like we were meant to be together. But now, by now, I'm realizing like, okay, these people, it always hurts. It always teaches me a big lesson. It always breaks me out of some limiting pattern that I found myself in. And it always breaks apart an ego structure that I've been limiting myself by. So that would go along with what you may be experiencing, which is this heartbreak, right? It's like, you're not down for the count. You're just down until you're ready to admit to yourself that it's okay, right? So being loving and present with the part of yourself that has been heartbroken, that has been rejected. And this is not, this person is not the first person to heartbreak and reject you, right? That's happened before. You wore your heart on your sleeve. I'm certain that this has gotten you rejected and taken advantage of and heartbroken before, right? We have, this is actually the healed broken heart here. This is like the pouring gold into the broken heart here and filling it up and repairing it, right? So this situation that's being mirrored to you is actually the balm to your heartbreak. It's like this person really does love you. I mean, they may not end up with you, right? It's possible that there'll be some freshness blown into this situation after some leaps of faith are taken, right? After the truth is admitted on both sides. But for now, what's happening is they're poking you in a wound of rejection, a wound of failure, a wound of heartbreak, a wound of low self-worth. When really, someone's rejection of you has nothing to do with your worth. And it's just showing you that you have something to heal about how you feel about yourself. You're letting somebody else's treatment of you dictate how you treat yourself, right? So you want to take back your power and treat yourself how you would treat a child who got their heart broken. If your child went to school and got rejected by the bullies, you know, well, hopefully you wouldn't be the parent that teaches them to beat up the bullies or something, but I won't judge if that's what you're doing, if that's your path. But like, you'd want that child to know that they are lovable. You'd want that child to know that they are resilient and that they have a lot to offer and that it's okay if those people can't see it, right? You'd want the child to learn to fill up their own cup. So you're learning to fill up your own cup, and you wouldn't have done it. You wouldn't have been able to be reminded to do it without this person rejecting you and poking it in you, right? And pretending that they can't go there with you and reactivating the wound of heartbreak in you and reactivating the wound of low self-worth in you. So it's giving you an opportunity to fill up your own cup, to love yourself more, to give yourself what you need. Admit the truth to yourself and act accordingly. The truth is that you have been suffering from a lack of self-love. And so to act accordingly is to give yourself love and to accept how you feel. Accept the part of you that feels lesser. Accept the part of you that wanted outside approval. You know, that part is probably like a reminiscent child part of you that wanted the parent figure to notice you, to love you, you know, and not reject you when you wanted to show your art project from school or your little macaroni glue thing, you know. Like maybe that parent couldn't give you the presence that you required and it hurt you because you're so beautifully open-hearted and heart on your sleeve and dreamer. You're so pure. You're so beautiful. I mean, I have tears coming as I say these things because I can feel it, you know? Like, I'm sure it surprised you when your purity, your love was not returned, and it hurt, and it was unbelievable, and the only explanation you could come up with was that you were not worthy of that, right? But that's because that was the only thing you could do to survive that situation, right? If you were to determine that your parents were bad parents, but you still had to depend on them, how would that work? That would be a very scary situation to be in. So it makes sense to instead gloss over that, pretend that the parents are good parents, but that the problem is you. Right? So it's just a coping mechanism that was adopted. It was traumatic for you to experience this type of rejection. And it doesn't mean that your parents did anything wrong either. It just means that your needs for love and attention in the moment that you asked for it was not able to be met. Okay? You've done nothing wrong. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for adopting the view that you were lesser. Because that's all you could decide at the time. Forgive yourself and love the part of yourself that decided that wanted to protect you, that wanted to harden you, that wanted to say, stop expecting people to be good to you. You couldn't stop. I see you never stopped. You never stopped. You were always willing to take a leap of faith. You were always willing to go towards what you felt the urge towards. You were not willing to give up. And so you know you're resilient. You know your resilience. Okay, so after you're collecting these parts of yourself, right, that told yourself the lie that you weren't good enough, and that that was feeling that heartbreak, that the kind of the crushing rejection, the devastation and loss of the dream and the want and the desire, right? After you love those parts of yourself, you're going to start to feel more whole, and you're going to give yourself what you need, right? Act accordingly as giving yourself love. And you're going to give yourself fresh reasons to be in that loving energy, because you're going to be giving those flowers to yourself, right? You're going to be loving yourself. You're going to be making sure that where you feel unworthy, that you become the person who knows you are worthy. By sitting with and loving the part of yourself and understanding why she felt unworthy. Give her comfort, give her love, give her what she needs to know that you value her. You're glad that she's been there with you. You needed her. She has been there for you. And it's just time to let this go. It's just time to let the pain go, the self-rejection, and the burden of the heartbreak. Okay? So that means that it won't have to be relived and poked in you by your mirror once you heal it. Okay? So that is going to shift this situation. And it doesn't mean that you should get attached to the outcome and wait on them. Like this person could have just been in a soul contract with you to poke this in you. And that's it. And when you heal this, you're not going to need them to be anything other than that. You know, they can be shallow and surfacey and all they want. They can lack compassion and not even notice you ever again. And it won't matter, because you love yourself, because you took care of yourself, because you gave yourself what you need. And then when you're following your urge, it's not going to be towards another lesson on how to heal yourself from heartbreak, because that will be done. Because you'll know that when my heart hurts, I love myself. When my heart needs me, I care for it. You know? We got family creation. So this could be somebody in your family, or somebody you were just really hoping to unite with, that someone that you feel like is a part of your soul family or your family. Yeah, you felt really foolish. Yeah, that's part of it, right? You really had a big dream for this person in you. I think that you really went all in on what you thought and believed and loved about them, and loved about what it meant for you to come together. And if you were being urged there, you know, like there was a reason for it, right? It's disappointing to realize the reason is so you can heal. You may feel foolish, but you know what? The fool is the one who's willing to take a leap of faith into the unknown. You got that. You're brave. You have bravery. So imagine what the next leap of faith that you're urged into is going to take you. Because you're no longer going to have a tower moment if you don't, get the outcome that you want, because you know that you'll have your back no matter what. The fool goes where those others won't go, says what others won't say. Now when you go where you want to go and say what you want to say, you're also going to know that you're doing it in the most loving way for yourself, because you've admitted the truth to yourself, which is that you are a lovable person, which is that you are worthwhile, which is that your heart is whole, which is that every time you poured out love onto someone else, you were being love, and that is what you are, and no one can change that. Okay? Got Moon, Mars, and Cancer. Yeah. You know why you wanted to create a family and go all in with this person? Because that's what drives you. That is what you are. You're this gentle, nurturing, loving, motivated by love, heart on the sleeve, giving, caring, nurturing person. You want to take care of people. You want to make sure that your family is taken care of and loved and nurtured and nourished, and you will take risks for it. You will take a risk in the name of love. And also, it's like you will do whatever it takes to protect your loved ones. This foolishness, this willing to jump, this urge, it doesn't just have to do with being foolishly in love. It has to do with being willing to take chances for the people you love. It's really beautiful. Secrets revealed. Yeah. So it's also like you feel vulnerable because your secret's out. This person knows that you love them, that you wanted them. And that feels a little vulnerable. But you just love yourself through it. Love the part of you that doesn't want to feel vulnerable. Love the part of you that feels like that's a risk. Because in childhood, some of us were raised in families where our vulnerabilities were used against us. Where if we revealed something that we loved, that was taken away from us or used as a punishment when we weren't complying or living up to the expectations of someone, right? Okay, so having your secrets revealed may feel, insecure, but that's something that you just love yourself through. You can handle that too. There's still mystery, there's unknown in this situation, and it's like you're all about preparing yourself to go through unknown situations over and over again, as many times as it takes. You will always bounce back. You will always be the loving, caring, nurturing person that you are. You will always be able to handle yourself. You will always, always, always be love, so you will always, always, always be able to fill up your own cup. You are very much oriented to home. Home is where your heart is. Home is with you where you are. And those who are in your home with you are so loved, so nurtured. And you've got nothing is at rest. And so the situation is in flux. All things are in flux. You don't know the outcome yet, and they're just letting you know that, right? Like you just have a soul contract to be poked in this certain way, in this certain situation by this certain person, and by the end of it you're going to be thankful for it, and things will look a lot different. Okay, I'm just going to get some cards from the Fair Relating deck. Look, you are so kind. Yeah, of course. It really is who you are. You are a kind, caring, loving person. I bet this other person knows it too. Even if they are in fear of it, even if they're not willing to be that, this is part of your soul family, so they know it, And if their job was just to reject you so that you could know it too, then you are going to be thankful for them doing that to you, right? And it says part ways, right? So the fair thing to do is part ways. This person didn't want to invest in you, but it catalyzed you to invest in you. So it's the right thing to do. The fair thing to do to you is to not keep investing in someone who's not willing to invest in you back. You are investing in you because you will always get that back. You can't lose when you invest in yourself. A woman once said that to me at a job, I mean, like 20 years ago. Yeah, like, is it 20 years ago? Almost 20 years ago, yeah, about 18 years ago. Yeah, it was great advice. I've always known it was great advice, but invest in yourself and you can't lose, she said. She was an older woman who was, you know, sort of a comforting woman to talk to sometimes at work. I always like speaking to older women who are willing to share their wisdom. You know, it's valuable to me. It always has been. I've always respected my elders. But okay, so parting ways, it could hurt when I say parting ways, right? It could hurt and it could feel all over again. And there may have been a time where somebody abandoned you. So maybe there's a lot of layers of wounds that are being revealed to you in this situation, right? So love the part of yourself that feels scared and sad that you've been abandoned, that this person that's supposed to love you doesn't love you, is not loving you and not showing up. Okay, there's a scared, hurt part of you that needs to be rescued and loved and given what she needs or he needs in response to that feeling. So this part of you that you're welcoming in, that feels abandoned, that feels scared, that feels resentful, that feels so confused on why someone that is supposed to love you is not showing up, that part of you is now joining the rest of you who's traversed everything you've survived up to this point. All the other parts of you who have survived everything you've survived up to this point are there to welcome in this part of you. And you have your back. You are a kind, loving person who is willing to fill up your own cup. You are love. And this part of yourself needs love too. The part that was rejected, the part that was abandoned, the part that was not loved, even when you knew you were supposed to be. You are innocent. So please treat yourself accordingly. And it says spend time alone. Yeah. So you're going to need some time to be with these parts of yourself. And spending time alone is going to assure that you're not looking outside of yourself for any of these things, which may have been your habit up to this point. You know, maybe you've dealt with some layers of these things before. So I'm not saying that you haven't done work on these things or that you don't know all of this already, but it's just saying there's more layers, and it's just time to kind of be with yourself now and be with the parts of you that need this love and attention and presence, because presence is what all these parts need. So spending time alone assures that you give the presence that those parts need. Okay, let's see if there's another card from this deck. Oh, wow. They are showing you who they are right now. Okay? That's what they are, is someone who doesn't have the strength to go where you're going, who doesn't have compassion, who's lacking courage, and who is willing to be on a surface level, who only wants to be on a surface level. Okay? That's not what you want. You might see their potential, right? If they're your mirror, you know their potential. You know they have the potential to feel as deeply and care as much as you, but they're not doing it. Who they are right now, and it may be because of their own coping mechanisms, but that's what they're showing you, is who they are right now. Okay? So make sure you accept that. Like, really take that in, because the fair thing to do for you is to admit the truth to yourself. Okay? And once you have that truth, once you know, and once you've felt and dealt with everything you feel about that, if they come to you, because energy is in motion, everything's, nothing is at rest. If they come to you because as a result of you shifting your energy and you healing that, they mirror that back and they decide to heal themselves too. They decide to go in deep and spend some time alone and look down below their surface on why they couldn't have the courage, why they didn't want to go deeper, and why they lacked compassion, right? If they do that, then, try again. Then. That's the fair thing to do. I mean, you are a loving, caring person. So If you love the totality of their existence, not just the fragments of them that cater to you, then you might be willing to try again. You know, but this would come after, right? They're going to show you who they are. So let them show you. Meanwhile, you're going to be busy loving all this wonderfulness that you are. And I really do mean wonderful. Okay, so there's a question. If you'd like to ask a question, you might want to pause to think of your question, but take the question that comes to mind first, and we're going to give you an answer. And it is, I can't. Okay, so sometimes I get this card when I ask Spirit to do something for me, like to fix something. And you know what it is? It's like Spirit saying, like, I can't fix that for you. That's something you have to do. That's something you have to take action on. You know? So I'm not sure what, you know, exactly what your question was, and you can apply it as needed, but I feel like if I'm going to apply this card to this reading, and I have been doing that for each of these answers as well, I want to say that, like, this is Spirit saying, like, you can do this. They cannot do this for you. They cannot make this disappear. This issue is here for you now because you're prepared, and it's the time, and you've got what it takes, and you've got the time, and you know, all that love is now going to be applied to you. Okay? So really let go of expectation and outcome, and get to work on loving and being with all parts of you that feel any way they do about parting ways, and about being rejected, and about being abandoned, and about not being chosen, and about being ignored, and about maybe being ghosted, you know, and about following your urge and having it not turn out how you wanted, about being willing to take a risk and then having it fall, you know, having it fall apart. All the ways you feel, just love those ways, because as you love those ways, you're collecting little fragmented pieces of you that were looping in the energy, repeating the experience. You know, it's like a beautiful gift that you've been given to love each little fragment of yourself that hadn't been loved yet. The part of you that feels vulnerable, that now that your secret's been revealed, love those parts of you. Okay? Yeah. Love, because love is what you do. And I really do honor you. Pick one. Okay? I'm glad to be of service to you. And I'm holding space for you to be of service to yourself. Maybe we'll see you in a future reading. Take care, pick one. I mean, pick 5, sorry. I called you pick 1, so isn't that interesting? You may want to look at pick 1 if you were called to that too, but if you weren't, don't worry about it. Yeah, I felt like a few of these readings tied in, or could be the same kind of energies, but a few were not. So just take what feels right for you. Okay. See you next time.